Last event, we saw a returning classic from QML, but today we have a brand new event in the Quadrilla Trial. Hello everyone, I'm your host Quack, and currently the Malware Monsters are at the top of the point lead after we saw them get silver in the last event. The Maze Runners holding on to second, and the Ludamoths in third place, at least tied for it with the Ferrofluids. And of course, anything can change as we head into this new event. This will be, it's aptly named because it will be a time trial event, just one run at a time, one team sending one marble at a time, and we'll see how each team fares. We also, you can see the run order. The overdrives will be up first, and you'd think they'd be adept at this kind of event being themed around speed, but we'll have to see. This is perhaps the most raw test of speed of any event this season, due to the fact that the Quadrilla race is also very technical and trying to adapt to your competitors. Well, we begin with the overdrives. As they start this course, it opens with a funnel. We don't have any demo runs here to QxQ, so these teams will just have to learn the hard way. But either way, it looks like they're navigating these layers pretty quick here, and you can see the halfway split at 10-10 will be the mark for Axel of the overdrives, and now as they come through this funnel, it's pivotal to be quick through it, and the finish line right there, making contact with that purple block, is how you determine the time, and I think that looked like a pretty solid run. It's hard to say when we haven't seen any others, but the Axel from the overdrives will be starting with the starting mark of an 18.76, pretty solid for them, but of course it's hard to say for sure. And it looks like through there, they were pretty quick through that last bit of the funnel, which is really the key to succeeding in this event. The funnels can be so pivotal, as now we move on to Nano from the Ferrofluids. We'll see how they fare compared to the overdrives. The Ferrofluids currently very high in the standings, and it looks like they're a bit slower through that first funnel, which is going to hurt them a lot, especially that last little turn there. Did not look too great. These next few layers also not looking good, and 11.37, well behind Axel's mark at the halfway split. Now we'll see how they fare through the funnel here. It looks like they're maybe a little bit faster, but I still don't think that's going to be able to compare. And I think the timer was at almost a 21 by the time they got to the end, which is well behind the 18.76. But either way, the Ferrofluid's not looking too bad here. I just don't think that's going to be enough to take this number one spot. No, it will not. A 20.69, well behind the mark from the overdrives. But I don't know if that's going to be able to keep up their top half result streak. We'll have to see with all the other runs yet to go. It's still hard to say. As now we move on to Coin, the captain of the Gold Doubloons. Still haven't lived up to their name just yet. We'll see. As now they are off. It looks like they're very quick through this first funnel, at least by the looks of it. Yes, they will get around pretty quick. Now we'll see how they get through these layers. It looks like they're going pretty decently. And these parts are really technical. You have to be as quick as possible. And a 10.65, not quite as fast as the overdrives, but still looking pretty quick, especially through that funnel there. This is looking pretty solid now. And as they come across the line, will that be enough to beat them? I think that might have been able to catch up through that second half. I'm not sure, though. And we'll have to wait. We saw how through those layers, they saw that perhaps they knew that mark they needed to beat. And at 18.66, by 1/10 of a second, Coin will be able to take the lead now. The overdrive's already not going to be able to take the win in this speed event, but perhaps still settle for at least a decent finish. As now we move on to Wilt, the captain of the Ash Flowers, another captain here, and this time of the team of the reigning gold medalist. We'll see how they fare here. Ooh, that was a very slow entry to that first funnel, and that pretty much already guarantees I don't think they're going to be able to beat the Gold Doubloons mark, but they might still be able to contend for a solid finish. They're looking very quick through these long layers, though, and you'd see as they get down here at 11.64 is still the slowest of anybody we've seen so far, but they're very quick through those shorter layers now. As we get down to this bottom funnel, they look pretty decent there, and across the line, that was around a 20-something. A 20-something is perhaps not specific enough, but we'll see what the score turns out to be. That funnel was really what screwed them up. Throughout the rest of the course, they look pretty decent, but a 20.64 will be fourth out of the four so far. I stand corrected. It won't quite be enough to even beat the Ferrofluids mark. Not a great sign for the Ash Flowers, who've been struggling outside of that gold. It looked like they were perhaps a sort of return to form, but perhaps not. Now Toko, the captain of Team Toucan, another captain here, 3 in a row. We'll see how they compare. And it looks like they're very quick into this funnel. This is already a great start for them. Currently the team very low in the standings, and right now it looks like they're doing pretty decently through these few tower layers. And now as they get down to 10.82, though, not a great halfway mark time, but not bad either. As now they're coming through this funnel, not too fast, but also not too slow. I don't think this is going to be able to contend with those first two runs, or not the first two, but the top two runs. But either way, this is still a pretty decent-looking time overall. I think this will be able to beat those last two. And yes, it will. A 20.18 will be taking the bronze medal spot. Of course, only 5 runs in. It's hard to say if they will be able to hold on to it or not. And as they come down here, it looked pretty decent, but still not great from Team Toucan, which is really, they needed some good points here. I don't think they're going to be able to get it. As now we move on to the Blade Masters run with Katana, the first team in a while that hasn't been sending their captain. in this event, despite being a speed event, is a bit slower paced. Each team really gets to analyze every bit of this track and how you want to navigate it perfectly. They're looking very quick through these tower layers here. The Blade Masters off to a great start here, at least. Ooh, an 11.34 that first mile. Oh, what happened there? Looked like they flew off the course there. I didn't even get the words out, so they will be running again here. This is their second run, and a 1 penalty second will be added because they fell off in their first attempt, but they're still looking very quick through these opening layers. Perhaps they saw their halfway split time and decided that wasn't good enough for them. But either way, a 10.98, looking pretty decent so far, but that's not with the penalty second added. And as they come across the line, that will be around a 19.5-second run, I think. But because of that 1 penalty second, it will hurt them. It's hard to say if this was actually a better... Well, it's hard to say if this was even a strategic move at all, but if it was, I'm not sure it was a good strategic move, because a 20.63 will be putting them 4th out of the 6. 1 second can be very harsh when the margins are so fine in this kind of event, but of course that's how it goes when you fall off the track, I suppose. But now we move on to Jinx from the Lucky Clovers. We'll see how they fare. Currently, the Lucky Clovers really struggling in the standings, could use a decent points haul here. They were decent in Quadrilla Race, but not much else to show for it. But of course, this is perhaps the most similar in concept to Quadrilla Race in terms of just going fast down the Quadrilla. And right now, they're looking very quick here. Well, I thought they were. 11.09 will be 4th out of the 7 for the halfway split time. And now they come down to the wire here. I believe this will be around a 20-second mark. I don't think it's going to be great. It might still be enough to beat the Blade Masters thanks to that 1 second penalty, but still not an amazing run for the Lucky Clovers, I don't think. They were very good in the entry to this tower section, though. A 20.18 will be 4th place out of the 7 so far, so not too shabby, but also not great. So far, no one's been able to challenge the Gold Doubloons mark since their run. The overdrives were decently close, but they ran before. But now we move on to the Maze Runners with Colonel. We'll see how their skills can shape up to this new event that they've never tried before. And it looks like they're very quick into that opening funnel. This is already looking like a great run for them. If they can keep the momentum up into the tower section, which it looks like they will be, this is already looking like a great run as they come through the teal block. Halfway split time, 10.34. That is 2nd place, only to the overdrives. We'll see if they can catch up the same way the Gold Doubloons did. Ooh, I'm not sure if this funnel is going to be quick enough for them across the line. That was definitely in the 19-second range. They'll probably be able to take one of the top 3 spots. I don't think it's going to be enough to take P1, though. We'll have to see. They looked very solid through the opening parts of this track, but a 19.47, actually they went down after the halfway split. 3rd place out of the 8 so far, but that will still take a provisional podium at the halfway point. That was a pretty respectable run from the Maze Runners there, but not quite what they were hoping for, perhaps, in this raw speed event. But either way, the Gold Doubloons at the halfway point hold the lead with their captain. Overdrives in 2nd, unsurprisingly, and the Maze Runners in 3rd. Unfortunately, Team Toucan already locked out of a medal, but either way, now we move on to the Brainstorm. Speaking of no medals, they would like one. They still haven't gotten one yet, but we'll see if Loeb will be the one to do it in this event. They're looking pretty quick through this first funnel, but of course they have to navigate the rest of the track well, and it looks like they're doing pretty decently through these first few tower layers. A 10.83 is 5th out of the 9 so far, so not quite as great as I thought, but either way, they're looking very quick into that funnel there. This could be enough to catch up, at least to the top few. I don't know if it'll be enough for a medal. Actually, looking at the timer as they come across, well, the proverbial line, I'm not sure that's going to be enough, but either way, the Brainstorms so far have been consistent, but just haven't been able to really find a decent points haul in any event. A 20.17 will be 4th out of the 9 so far. I believe that is only a single 100th of a second better than one of the previous times we've seen. And we can see how the margins in this event are really fine. But now we move on to Mach 5 with their representative Jet in this event. And you'd think a team named Mach 5 would be good at a raw speed event. But we shall see. They're looking pretty decent in the funnel for now, though, as they begin the tower section. Now it looks like they're doing pretty decently through these first few layers, but not amazing. A 10.89, yeah, 6th out of 10, not great. They were very quick through those next few layers with the short section, and as they come across the line, it was below 20 seconds, I believe, so this will still probably be enough to take a decent performance, but I don't think it's going to be enough for a provisional medal, let alone an actual medal. But Mach 5, either way, not looking too bad here, especially through this section. I didn't have much time to commentate on it, but a 19.56 will be enough for 4th place, just shy of the provisional podium. That was a pretty decent run from Jet as they came across the line. Looked pretty quick through that exit as well. That's one perhaps underappreciated part that they have to navigate completely. But now we move on to Coolant from the Frostbites. Another team that so far hasn't gotten a medal yet would like to get one. Well, I say another. The Mach 5 has gotten one, but either way, it looks like they're off to a pretty decent start. Not an amazing one, but they're so far looking pretty quick. We'll see the split time, 10.67. They're looking very quick through these few layers, though. This could be enough to get onto the provisional podium. Ooh, but they slow down quite a bit in that second funnel. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough after all. there's some this run was really ups and downs for them. It started not too amazingly through it seems like the funnels actually were really where Coolant struggled here. And a 19.91 will be enough to take P5 out of the 11th, but of course that's only just top half. They were looking pretty solid, especially through this part right here. But the entry to the funnel, there's so many random turns and switches that you have to navigate perfectly here. And we'll see if Slide, the captain of the Snow Skaters, will be able to do that. And they're off. They're looking very quick into that funnel. This could be a good run for them if they manage to keep up this momentum. So far, the Snow Skaters should be known for speed events such as this, and a 10.40. Ooh, they slow to a crawl through that layer, though. And they are provisional P3 with the halfway split, but with that big slowdown they had there immediately afterward, I'm not sure that's going to be enough. It looks like they might have had a sub-20-second time, but I don't know if it was much better than that. A pretty solid time for the captain of the Snow Skaters, I believe. Yes, a 19.77 will still take 5th place out of the 12, but so far we still haven't seen really anyone be able to challenge the gold doubloons. The Snow Skaters looking pretty solid here. Still not able to take a gold medal, though. At this point, they're really trying to get one, as we're already at the halfway point, pretty much. But now we move on to the Order of Aura with Radio. We'll see how they can compare. And it looks like they're off to a pretty decent start through this funnel, especially these last few spins. And now they move into the tower section. It looks like they're doing pretty decently, keeping up their momentum, especially that layer right there. And a 10.84 is only 8th of the 13. I stand corrected. But now they move into the final funnel. Will they be able to catch up at least a little bit? I'm not too sure. That looked pretty decent, but not amazing. But we'll have to see, especially being P8 after the halfway point. It really depends on how the rest of these layers go. Of course, that P8 takes into account the Blade Master's run without the penalty second, but that actually will be able to take P3. I didn't even expect that, a 19.36. They must have been very quick through those last few moments without me noticing, but either way, the Order of Aura will slot into the provisional podium. Now we move on to the Luna Moths with Echo, another one of the teams very high in the standings, briefly led the standings, not quite there now, but they would like to get back onto the top. And right now, it looks like they're doing a decent job through the first funnel, but they need to be able to execute the rest of this track well. And so far, they're looking pretty decent here. They're getting very quick through these layers, and they're so far actually only 9th out of 14, but a 10.86, not too shabby, as now they're getting into this last funnel. Ooh, I think they're going a bit slow, and as they come down to the line, that was definitely more than 20 seconds. I don't think that's going to be able to contend for the gold, but still might be able enough to take top half at the very least. I'm not super confident in this run. No, a 10th out of 14 with a 20.09, almost able to get sub 22nd, but just not quite able to do it. The Luna Moths so far have been pretty consistent, pretty solid in the first couple events, but it looks like it's starting to slip away from them. But now we're down to only 2 runs to go. The Phantom Flames with Blaze really need to get anything going at this point. Haven't had a single good event yet. And right now they're looking pretty decent through this first funnel, but they're going to need to execute the rest of the track well. And right now they're looking pretty solid through these layers. As they get to the halfway point, they're 11th out of 15 at 10.92. Not too great, but they're very quick through those last few layers. If they can just get through this second funnel well, I think they will do that there. Yes, and I think it was a pretty decent looking run, I think, from the Phantom Flames. Perhaps they can get a bit of redemption in this event. I don't think they're going to be contending for a medal anytime soon, but at the very least, this might be enough for their first top half finish. And yes, it is a 19.72, 6th out of the 15. That already guarantees they will be getting their first top half finish. At this point, we've seen many streaks end here, both good and bad. But now we move on to the final run. The Malware Monsters with Trojan, currently the point leaders, still haven't gotten a gold medal yet, but they have a silver and a bronze, and they'd like to add another medal to their collection. So far, they're looking pretty solid through the first funnel. And it looks like they're actually going very quick through these tower layers as well. We'll see what the split time is. They're P2. They just need to get through the rest of this cleanly. And they might be able to challenge the Gold Doubloons as they come through the final funnel. Ooh, there's a bit of a slowdown there. I'm not sure that's going to be enough. As they come across the line, I think that was within the 19-second range. We'll have to see when the graphic comes on screen. That looked very solid from the Malware Monsters. Was it enough to take the win, though? I think that might just be enough to take a medal. But, of course, that last little bit, a 19.19 will be enough to take the bronze, no more than that. But the Malware Monsters have guaranteed their 3rd medal in 4 events. Very respectable by them. Of course, it has to be heartbreaking to not be gold medal, but you can see the results here. The Gold Doubloons will live up to their name with their captain. Coin will take the gold here. The Overdrives with Axel take the silver. And the Malware Monsters will get yet another medal with Trojan. It almost looked like we would have a brand new, full podium of brand new faces, but at the last moment, the Malware Monsters snuck by, and they will be taking the bronze here, which I'm pretty confident will put them, will extend their point lead, and it does. 60 points over the Maze Runners and Gold Doubloons 52. Speaking of which, the Gold Doubloons jump up 6 spots into 3rd place, But of course, the standing's still pretty tight. Meanwhile, the Phantom Flames get quite a few points, not quite able to escape last place. But of course, anything can change as we head into the second half of the season, beginning with the Quadrilla track. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching.